I hear you. It's hard to stay consistent. Yes, I understand. However, if you truly want to grow your podcast, if you truly want to keep listeners, and you actually want to do something where you can use your podcast as a funnel so that you can ditch the hustle and bustle of trying to sell on social media, you gotta stay consistent. So here are some suggestions I have on staying consistent. Welcome to the podcast about podcasting, where you guessed it, we're talking all things podcasting, but not just in a sense of strategy of how to launch, grow, and monetize your show. Of course, you're going to get that, but we're going deep into how podcasting can actually help you build your community, build your confidence, and if you're willing to lean deep into this platform, it can be the ticket to the life of your dreams, because it'll inspire you to go deeper, to get to know yourself. And as we know, success starts from within. If you are ready to stop being a ripple in this world and bust out your tsunami of change you know you were made for, it's podcasting for your soul. I'm your host, Jen Dragonette, so let's dig in. Oh, trust me, I do get it. Not only do I get behind or clients need things, life happens, I want to go on vacation, all the things. But the one thing that needs to stay in your life is your consistency. If you have a show and you are putting out 2 times a week and then you go down to 1 time a week, then you start skipping weeks, what happens is those listeners that are planning for your episode to come out, yes, thank you listeners for being there, that know that an episode is going to drop on a certain day. Hey, I caught you today, right? I dropped it on a different day. Did you notice? Because maybe I was in your schedule for yesterday and I came out today. I did this on purpose for the listeners that I know come back week to week. The thing about it is that consistency is what you're programming people for. On social media, we don't really have a programming. We just go and we scroll, we come across things. We don't really do it with intention. But our podcasts, we listen with intention. When you're expecting an episode on a Tuesday and it comes out on a Wednesday, I actually, by doing this social test, may have lost some of my listeners because I have just unprogrammed you to see that my show was going to show up for you. So it's that important. If you're someone who's like, oh, sometimes I'll throw in a bonus episode here and there, great. But keep that 1 show a week consistency, because what you're doing is you're training your audience to show up at a certain time and a certain place. You don't show up at that certain time or that certain place, you know what happens? It gets filled with something else and you become the bottom of the barrel. Unless you have grown a relationship so strong that they keep coming back, even if you miss that, taking breaks is not a great idea. So here are some things that I recommend doing if you are getting to burnout. If you're at 2 a week, maybe go down to 1 episode a week. If you are planning a vacation or you need to take some time off and your show has been on for the air for a certain amount of time, do a best of series. Repurpose those. Come up with a catchy new hook. Change out your episode a little bit at the beginning and the intro and repurpose them because you found new listeners and they might not know about those episodes from 20 to 30 episodes ago, right? So there are ways. When you are feeling great, batch content as much as you can, even if that's a bunch of shorty episodes. Maybe your show and your listeners are used to 30 minutes. Well, they might get used to 15 minutes too. When you are feeling inspired, record. Have a bank of episodes so that you can take a break. If you think about it, if you bank 8 episodes and you're only doing 1 a week, that's almost 2 months worth of content. Take the summer off. You pre-schedule, you get out. That is what is gold here. But the consistency is the most important thing you will ever have, and the best thing to grow and monetize your show, because people know they can count on you. You're there. You show up in their earbuds while they're doing something. So when you're getting burnt out, you're ready to pod fade out, start thinking about how can you make this easier? Maybe if you haven't seen the results, maybe it's time to get an actual strategy. If you're struggling with this stuff, heck, I have a free 30-minute podcast CPR where we resuscitate your podcast so that it brings you revenue and we get clear on your people, your passion, and where your revenue comes from for free. And if you want to work with me after that, great. If you don't, no big deal. But start thinking about that because we all hit that phase. I've hit that phase. I'm like, oh my goodness, if I have to produce another show, I'm going to lose my ever-loving mind. But guess what happens? That we don't truly get to stay in those people's lives. Look at some of the big shows. See how many gaps they actually have. When they started seeing growth, that was when they were consistent. They were consistent, they were clear on their people and their purpose, and they were delivering value, not fluff. They were entertaining you, educating you, or inspiring you. And when those people, if they took a break, I can guarantee you they saw a drop in numbers too because you became obsolete. You lost your place in somebody's habits. It is a habit stacking thing. Maybe somebody listens to you on a Tuesday morning while they're brushing their teeth or getting ready for the day. Maybe it's their lunchtime walk on a Monday. But if you don't show up in that place, something else is going to take your place. So the most powerful thing you can do to grow and or monetize your show is to earn the trust and the placeholder in someone's schedule by being consistent. Period. End of story. I explain this to my clients over and over again. Yes, you can get some growth because podcasts are legacy content. So if you've positioned it correctly, you've strategized, you used podcast SEO, you've done all the things, yeah, your podcast can still grow while you take a break, but you're also going to lose that listenership. And if you are someone who, again, is doing 2 episodes, do 1. Doing an hour episode, do a 30-minute episode. Just keep consistent. Build yourself a bank of episodes. Use a best of. You need a break for a week or 2? Pop in a best of. It can be that simple. Make it simple and easy peasy lemon squeezy on you, but be consistent. That is the one thing in all these CPR audits that I do that I see the most is they're not consistent. You dabble here, you dabble there. Well, you know what happens when we dabble? It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall. I hate that saying, but it's the truth. So be consistent. What can you actually commit to in your life, cycle? It's getting a little overwhelming for me to manage 3 episodes a week between this show and the Feed Your Business with Love podcast. I get a little bit behind because I also produce a bunch of other shows and I have my coaching clients. So I need to evaluate as I'm going into the new year where to put my focus. Do I put my focus on growing through, maybe going through and getting rid of some of my other strategy to grow the show? Maybe I'm not going to go as deep into Pinterest or as deep into TikTok or whatever it is and put my main focus. But for me, 95% of my sales come from podcast listeners, period, end of story. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose your trust by getting out of your habits, by getting out of your patterns. I've created a pattern for you. And hopefully this disrupt didn't screw it up, but it may have. And the numbers will speak. So if you can do one thing to grow and to gain the trust so that you can monetize your show, that's show up consistently, be part of someone's life on a specific day at a specific time, make it easy for them to show up in your space. Be consistent. Be consistent. And again, if you are struggling and you're stuck and you're stagnant, grab one of the podcast CPR audits. They're free. 30 minutes with me. We dig into your podcast, into your business, and we look at the clarity, the people and your purpose, and your revenue and how all of those can have simple tweaks. And whether you choose to go on and work with me in another capacity afterwards, I promise you that 30 minutes will help you change something in your show that will help it grow or help you towards monetization. Either way, This is just my gift to you. It's not a pushy sales call. I'm like the worst at sales. But if you want to work with me afterwards, great. If not, at least it's a step forward. It's a free step forward for you. So the information's in the show notes, but it's podcastcpr.com. Super easy. Just think about resuscitating your business and your life with a little CPR. So podcast CPR. Anyways, go out, make today amazing, but be freaking consistent. I will preach it from the mountaintops. The more consistent you are, the easier it's going to be to grow and monetize. So be consistent, be you, be beautiful, be wonderful, because you are enough, you are worthy, you are wonderful, and I will see you soon.